Okay.
The only son or great-grandchild, I don't know which he was studying to be a priest. And then he didn't go through with it all the way. But
So he wasn't any relative?
I don't know. If Somaketa was I can't remember if I ever knew
Okay.
that but they used to ask me to come to bring Betty with you.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to be real close friends with them. And their son, they wanted him to marry me. Somaketa, she wanted, no Tommy. And then she would point to her son.
Okay.
And she wanted, back then they believed in fixed marriage.
Yeah.
And Somaketa would say every time I walked, my daughter-in-law. She would say that.
Yeah.
And Tommy'd say, no, Somaketa, no, she's gonna marry me.
Now, Aunt Rosie, Aunt Lucy, and Aunt Seal, sisters. 3 sisters.
Lucy was the oldest,
Yes.
and then
She had a son named Freddie.
Freddie.
Yeah.
Freddie
I
died.
remember.
No.
Did Freddie die? No.
He's still alive.
Oh, there was a lot of boys.
Yeah.
Now, Freddie was, do you remember, did they refer to anybody as sweet potatoes?
Uncle Sweet.
Oh.
So
Sweet.
little Freddie that was Sweet Potatoes' son, and he died.
Sweet Potatoes, was his real name Henry, or was his real name, do you
I'm
remember?
wondering if it was Freddie. What was his real name?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at, I know Sooty, I think Henry was Sooty.
okay.
That isn't Sweet Potatoes. Sooty
No.
was another one.
Okay.
And it was Sooty.
Tommy,
Who?
Tommy, Tom Rizzo, Uncle Tom Rizzo, not your,
Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a Mary?
Mary Rizzo.
Was she the oldest? And then Anna Marie, so Mary,
Let's see, when did Mary die? I never met
1916.
Mary.
1916. So she died,
Well, maybe I didn't.
she was 26 when she died.
it was
I
long
don't
before.
remember meeting her.
And then Anna was born in 1892 and died in 1951.
Now that's
Our,
my mother-in-law.
yeah, your mother-in-law. And I have
And
Lucy.
when was she born?
1892.
1892.
And then I'm showing Lucy born 1896, but you said Lucy is older than?
Lucy, I thought Lucy was the oldest, but that sounds like Mary.
And see, I thought Lucy was the oldest too.
Maybe she was the oldest living, but Mary was still alive. When did she die?
Mary died in 1916?
1960?
16. 16.
Long
No,
before.
I wouldn't
Long
know
before.
that.
So,
Yeah.
but she would have been in her 20s when she died. But I show a Philip, Angelo, Anthony, Jesse.
Yeah,
Henry
Angelo.
Sooty.
No, wait, you're going a little
Okay.
fast. Uncle
Angelo?
Billy, I know him.
Wow.
Angelo.
Angelo might have been Sweet Potato.
That's
Yeah.
who I'm thinking Sweet
That's
Potatoes
it.
was.
That's right.
And he died in 1968.
Yes. Yes.
And then we have Anthony and then Jesse or
And-
Providenza, who was,
The baby.
and then Henry went by Sooty.
The baby of the family
We
was a
have
boy.
Rosie, Cecilia Joseph, and Vincenzo, and then Fred Rizzo.
So then he was the baby.
So, and then there's a whole bunch of Salomonis from Providence.
See, there's so many, Dominic. When you go and you go to this Italian, there's so many of them.
Yeah. And then there was the Camanides, the Sanciolas. Yeah.
Now,
You were
the
Fred?
Salomonis, they were very, very close. They must have been like maybe the first cousins.
Okay.
And they gave us the Salmonis that lived, and they were connected with Sumaceti.
Yeah, okay.
Sumaceti. They were kind of
Yeah.
connected in some way. I never knew how that
Mhm.
Yeah,
was.
so
But they gave us a wedding breakfast.
Oh, really?
Beautiful.
So there had to be some relation.
in there. So
did
Yeah,
that.
Jerry, later on, Jerry became
Jerry Salamone?
very close. He and
So
Tom.
Anna Marie Rizzo, her parents were Gaetano, but he went by Thomas, and then Providenza Salamone. So
What
and
was his wife?
then his wife
He
was
married a Salamone.
Yeah.
So, oh.
yeah.
And
so
what
the-
was her name?
Providenza, but she went by Jessie.
Jessie.
Yeah.
She's probably the one that gave us the wedding breakfast. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So then it was Michelangelo Salamone and Anna Marie Gentile were their parents. So they're great greats.
Now you're getting.
I know it goes way. There's a
Now
lot of
you're
names.
getting past me,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. And then on the dad's side, they're all named Antonio.
who was that, honey?
Nobody, I didn't leave a message.
Oh, okay.
So Dominic's father was Antonino, and his father was
Dominic's
Antonino.
father. Not
Was-
this one.
No, this Dominic was Dominic.
My
Yeah.
father-in-law.
Your father-in-law was Dominic. His dad was named Antonino, according to him. And then his father was Antonino, and then the next one was Antonino. So they kept the name coming through that line. So, and he married.
Well, all I remember my Tom talking about was his grandpa Tom.
Yeah,
I thought that's what he called it. His grandpa was, and he lived with them. Now, what street did Tom and Anna married who? Anna Marie married.
and she married Dominic Ciolino.
Okay. Where did Anna Marie and Dominic live?
They lived at 1112 Dayton Street.
Dayton Street?
Dayton Street, but
Right.
he also lived on 6th Street and then Gilsey after that.
6th Street?
But Dayton Street when they got married.
Dayton Street was the big street that we got pictures.
I
We got pictures of that house.
thought that was Aunt Rosie's home, Dayton Street.
Well, a lot of people there were a lot of homes. I think it might have been where there was like a community of homes.
Yeah.
So
The community of Italians.
if
Because Grandma used Anna,
Yeah.
which was my mother-in-law, she used to tell the story about during the crash
Uh-huh.
that they almost lost their house, but this judge saved it
Mm-hmm.
for them. He somehow worked it out where they could keep their house.
Yes. So
And Dominic, my Tom always talked about him.
Mhm.
Always voted for that judge. Always.
Panazzotta.
No, this would be
No,
way before him.
Way before him? Okay, that's all I remember.
Paniotto.
Paniotto, I knew it
Yeah.
was. But I haven't, when he first comes to Ohio, he lives on 6th Street, West 6th Avenue,
6th Street. Yeah.
315. And then he moves to 513 West 6th Street. And he lives there for several years. And then he moves to Dayton Street and he lives there until 1946, around 1946.
Was that 6th Street, is that connected in any way with the Rizzos?
So that a whole community of Italians were living together. So he had an Uncle
Because
Joe.
he met
several.
Anna. When he came through Ellis Allen, he had the choice of going to Detroit, where all the Ciolinos were, or to come to Cincinnati, where his godfather
His
was.
uncles, yeah.
Somebody told him. Am I right, or am I-
Yeah, so we think Pietro was his uncle, and it could have been his godfather as well. He was in Cincinnati. So
And he stayed here for a while, and he went to visit them in Michigan. And his brother was up there, and his brother's name was Tom.
Yeah.
And he was married to another, to a girl, or No, it was Aunt Grace that was up there, and she married.
And Mocheri is the name. So Grace marries Anthony or Tony
Yeah.
Mocheri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't want to talk about them
Yeah.
because they were mafiosa related.
No, that was the other
That's
side.
the other side.
That was further back.
That's why I thought. Now me.
Yeah.
This is just my thought.
Yeah.
I don't really remember being told,
Yeah.
but I thought that's one of the reasons why Dominic left Italy
Sicily,
to get
yeah.
away from. But the parents stayed there, or whoever.
Right. And they had
And
no
nobody
children.
knows anything about the parents. So I said, well, maybe he could have been adopted.
Well, he has, so there's 9 children total. So they have 5 more children after the 2 come to America. They still have more kids. In
And
Italy.
they're still in Italy?
I
They
haven't
stayed
tra-
in Italy?
Not all of them. I haven't tracked them all back.
Whew.
But I have the father passes away in Terracini in 1941. The great, your
So that's.
Dominic's dad. It stays in
But
Italy
see,
and
I
dies.
don't remember
in
hearing
1940.
So
about it.
1941 was the invasion of Sicily.
So he
The
died
the Allies invaded Sicily.
before. Yeah, there was a lot to do with the war, but in 1924 they cut off a lot of the immigration coming to
But
America.
That's because of the war?
So after the war, a bunch of people
They
came over.
wouldn't, see, they wouldn't allow any immigrants to come in when we went to war.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Right, they used all those ships for the war effort. So
What did they do with the people that had left different places to come here?
the
And
all the
during-
immigrants,
I
they
wondered
had to
what-
go through the draft process as well. Because I have his draft card, but he was never drafted.
Well,
done.
how come they allowed them in?
Well, they came in legally through the immigration process, but my problem, what I'm finding is I can't find exactly when Dominic came over. And I was told he came over as a child, like in his teenage
Oh.
years.
That will, which Dominic are we talking about?
Your father-in-law.
My
Grandpa.
father-in-law?
Grandpa.
Well, we found it in Ellis Island,
But,
in the books.
well, there's a bunch of Dominics, but then when I do the trace back,
Oh,
They're not
and
the
we
right
thought
ones.
it was him.
So
And
you-
maybe it wasn't
maybe
him.
you have the right one. So on his naturalization.
That would kill my
Yeah.
husband if he knew
Yeah.
that.
So in 1923, he actually becomes a naturalized citizen. So he becomes, but his letter of intent, when he sends the intent in,
Well, I heard he was 12 years old
so there's
to come to America.
a bunch of Dominic come over and they